Our next speaker will be Chilik Hochberg, better known as Chill. His friends call him Chill. He is Director of Customer Success at Dynatrace. Chilik is a customer-facing and growth passionist with a track record of over 20 years leading global customer success and service teams, and 3 years in a row being chosen as 100th customer success strategist by Success Coaching. Chilik teaches, lectures, and mentors customer success and go-to-market best practices. Chilik, we are very happy you're here. The stage is all yours.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It's a great honor to be here. I think it's the 5th year or something like that. We have great panelists. I'll introduce them in a minute. We're going to talk about the complexity of multi-products in customer success organization. It's going to be very interesting to you. So I want to start by inviting Chen Kleder. She's a customer success and customer operation executive. Chen, thank you for being here. Nathan Israeli. It's not by the order of seats, by the way. I had a different mind in sitting. Nathan is Chief Customer Officer in Kaltura and a veteran in the Israeli Air Force. Tal Arabov, she's VP Customers at Cybellum, but stay tuned. And Shai Diamant, he's VP Account Management at WSC Sport. So thank you for joining us today. And thank you, everyone, for joining after lunch. Hopefully, you're not too tired. So we have many conversations around making our customers successful with our products. But as company growth, and some of you in large companies, some in small companies, then it all starts with adding more offers, more product lines, more personas involved, and various solutions, which makes it more difficult. So that adds, obviously, complexity to customer success organization, which we're all part of. And suddenly, as a customer success manager, account manager, we find ourselves dealing not with one product or one persona or one champion, but with many. So today, we're going to discuss that and kind of understand from our panelists how they, sorry for that, how they basically handle these situations and what is the best practices to build the organization around different products, different personas, different champions, and basically how you succeed to do that. So just to start, we'll let our panelists introduce themselves one by one. So if you can just give us a few words on who you are, what you bring, and maybe a little bit about your organizations that you work for. Shai, you want to start?
Yeah, hi guys, nice to meet you. So I'm Shai, live in Tel Aviv, married with 2 beautiful girls. What I do for the last 15 years is clients. That's what I know. That's what I like. That's what I love. Currently, I'm the VP Account Management at WC Sports. I came there like 6 years ago to build and establish the team, and at the moment we are more than 50 people in the department. What we do, so we automate content creation, management, and distribution for the biggest sports organization around the world. We help them by that to increase engagement, enlarge the fan base of the organization and the clubs, and also unlock new revenue opportunities. Among our clients, you can name the biggest sports brand like the NBA, NHL, La Liga, Bundesliga, of course, Maccabi Tel Aviv, which is my team. It's important. That's it. Happy to be here.
Tal?
Hi, everyone. I'm Tal, till recently managing customer success and support at Cybellum. About to start a new role, a mother of 3 kids, very cute. And basically, Cybellum is a startup in the cyber world, mainly for automotive, medical devices, embedded products. And that's it.
Yep. Hi, everyone. I'm Nathan Israeli. I live in Modi'in with 3 kids. I work in Kaltura for about 3 years now. Before that, as stated, I was many years in the Israeli Air Force. I manage the CX division, this customer experience division. Part of it is customer facing, possibly other chunks of it is the R&D and the product and the sales team, so it's a very wide array of team members. Kaltura sells video-oriented solutions, B2B company. Part of our products are content management regarding video, some of it is live events, and some of it is the good old-fashioned TV business. So let's kick it off.
Hi, everybody. Chen Kletter, over 20 years in tech, leading operations and customers organizations, mainly in the B2B fintech realm, have the experience both with startups as well as large corporates. In my last position, I was VP Customer Success and Delivery at Papaya Global, and I'm on to the next exciting thing right now. Looking forward for this discussion.
Thank you. So, as you all mentioned, you all work with in different tech companies of various sizes, and I guess maybe Shai, we'll start with you. Essentially, when a product management team comes and say, okay, or a founder wants to open a new offering or a new product line. So how do you prepare the team? How do you have a CS team? They work on their own product. They everything is kind of flowing, and now there's this bomb coming into you saying, in 6 months we're gonna release a new product. What do you do?
Yeah, so actually for our organization, this is a very important question for the last few years. For our core products, we are kind of like reaching our total addressable market. So that's the reason the organization is investing a lot in new products. The way we handle it, like in the account management CS organization, first of all, we divided the department into 3. We have account managers, CSM, technical account managers, and delivery and solution guys. This team, the delivery and solution, is basically focusing on taking these new products and taking them to the market, okay? Which means learning everything from the product team, understanding how to train clients, eventually go live and launch. Firstly, we are doing that quite hand by hand with product, but afterwards, like they're doing it by themselves at scale. When it comes to the CSM, the account management, we did it a bit differently. We qualified specific account managers to deal with the new products, and they are the focal points, the source of truth for the account managers for any question that they have around how to manage the ongoing clients when it comes to new products. So it's kind of like a mixture, but that's how we decided to handle it.
So from my understanding, you basically, the entire CS organization or account management organization is responsible for taking that product. But Chen, from your experience, who's supposed to be like the responsible for making this enablement? If I'm a CSM, do I need to take it and manage it, or maybe there's someone else in the organization that?
So before I talk about responsibility, I do want to talk about accountability. So the CSM definitely has the accountability to make sure they're ready to accept this new product line, right? So the accountability to make sure we have all the collaterals, whether they are inbound or outbound, is with the CSM organization. As for responsibility, obviously we're not expecting our CSMs that are super busy with day-to-day tasks to create all of that. And I can say that I've worked for companies in different stages or levels of maturity, and then how it looks like in a small startup is very different than a corporate. So in a corporate, you would probably have a lot of enablement functions, product marketing will be very active, as well as product management. Whereas from my experience at working for Eversty, which was a startup at around, 100 people at the time, it was more of all hands on deck kind of thing, where product management did the heavy lifting, but then the CSM, the business development, pre-sale sometimes, as well as solution architect may support and help being ready for this new product.
And if I'm, we all been to a situation where, if we're working on a certain product or service, and then there's something new then the old thing becomes irrelevant, less prioritized, or just, a side thing. So Tal, how do you advocate it to your people? Like, what do you, like, I'm a CSM, all the focus is now on the new thing. on the new child, maybe, right? So it's frustrating. What do you tell your team?
Yeah, so I think before making any decisions, changing priorities, making a lot of noise, I would first want to understand the bigger picture. Who is the customer? What's their status? Is the less prioritized product that they're using, are they happy with that? Does it meet their expectations? Are there any issues? I would also say that I think it's important to understand what the risk is. Is there a risk for a churn, for a downsell? Are they using any additional products? Is the new product can be relevant for them? So I think there are a lot of questions to ask before making any decision. And I would also say that I wouldn't make assumptions. So if I think something and I'm not sure, I would validate it with the customer and understand what it takes to handle this situation. Then take things internally and create a plan around that. The plan can be moving them to the new product, creating all the relevant justifications around that. It can be maybe a quick win, understanding their pain, and also what their plans are. Sometimes we have a very short understanding of what they're going to do next, but not, okay, what's your plan for the next year? So I would ask all these questions, come up with a plan based on the risk that I'm facing with. It can also be an opportunity, okay? Maybe we can reach out to more stakeholders, interest them in more possibilities and more opportunities, and then communicate, reflect things to the customer, and execute. Obviously, it's not just me, so internal alignment is super important here. It can involve product, R&D, sales, pre-sale, and so on. And again, it can be something very quick, very focused, and very specific. And it can be something more strategic and more long-term.
Cool. So again, we have just 40 minutes, so we ran through the how do you prepare and how do you enable, but Nathan, you have plenty of product lines, right? Just from reading your website. How many products do you have? Do you know? Like, can you say I have 5, 6, 7, or
Dozens.
Dozens? Okay.
And dozens of products, various customers and various industries, whether it's TV or banks, financial services, or EDU, education, and so forth. And I think my 2 cents to the smart advices that my colleagues here said, one, it's not about us, it's about the customer. I mean, they don't buy, we call our division the customer experience, and it has all those different components in it, R&D and sales. No one's buying a product, I think. You buy an experience, and the experience can be bad or rotten, depends on various issues, whether it's the product itself, or the customer services, or the pricing, or the So a few tips from my perspective. The first thing off the bat is to make sure you understand deeply what the customer needs. What exactly, if you're talking to B2B, like you said, well, different people within a big organization have different needs. So make sure you understand deeply what exactly do they need and what's your competition. The second thing is make sure that your team members have a deep enough knowledge of the product itself, because I've too often met CSMs that just don't know the product. It's all about sales and upsells and commissions, but hey, make sure you know the product. And my last tip is teamwork. I know it's a cliche, but it's a true cliche. Set up joint goals. You cannot have only one person get a commission and others not, because that person will work very hard and others will not. So you have to make sure you got common goals, common KPIs for everyone, the team members, and they're compensated on that way. And this way you make sure it's a team effort.
So the structure in your team, just to reflect to what you said, so the structure of the team is based on CSM that is responsible for all the products, or is like you have different
CSMs groups, and in the audits we have Gilad, who leads one of our CSM groups, but next to her sits Adi, who leads customer operations, because they cannot work. It's not a one-man show. It's all about teamwork. So we have various CSM teams depending on the industries and the size of the customer. We have customers with $500 MRR, and we have customers with $4 million MRR of a 25-year-old, $25 million a year. So it's a different animal and different beast, but nevertheless, everyone wants to feel that everyone from the customer side wants to feel that he's understood, that when he needs, gets acknowledged and he gets good service.
So talking about operations, right? So we talked about operations. So Chen, you have experience also as a customer operation leader. So what would be the measurement? So we have several products. We need to prioritize them, building different teams, building different enablements. How do you measure this?
So I don't think it's an easy question, so I'll try to be brief, but
as they say, if it was easy, I would have done it, right?
Of course. But I'll try to simplify. First of all, talking about a set of measurements, I would maybe divert it to a set of considerations, which works better for me. And I think that when it comes to prioritization, we have to look at two significant buckets. One of them is the company strategy, and the second is the customer's needs, right? What's happening in our day-to-day inbox and service needs. When we look at a company strategy, it seems obvious, but it's not only that, it's not always the case. We have to, each and every CSM, and definitely leaders, have to know where the company is heading and what is the North Star. When I worked for Papaya, when Papaya Global started working, getting into payments, it was very clear what's the priority in the company. When I worked for RSA and one of the products was end of life, it was very clear that it's now being deprioritized, right? Measurements for each product that we also need to consider as part of the strategy are the revenue contribution, the margins contribution, churn, cross and upsell KPIs. There are plenty of measurements, but it all boils down to understanding where the company is heading. The other side of it that may be pushing us sometimes to a different place in prioritization is actually what's happening in the field, right? So which product is the most demanding in terms of what the CSMs are experiencing in a day-to-day. One of the products could be faulty or requiring much more assistance or service, right? Also can share that I've worked for a company that one of the product had a great analytics platform, and it was a very self-service kind of product, and the other didn't. And people were constantly reaching out to the CSM. So the field is very demanding. Customers are very demanding, and it may sometimes go towards different directions from the strategy. I think as an operational executive, what's interesting, a great balance would be to see that what's happening in the field, what people spend time on, is actually where the company wants them to be. This is the ideal scenario. Was I able to implement that in every company that I work with? No, it's not easy, but I think it's something to strive for when we want to be like operational and prioritizing different product lines.
So Nathan, do you prioritize any differently?
No, makes sense. But the basic core logic is the same. I think that first and foremost, we're a business, so revenue is the #1 KPI to define and how you treat companies, and you put effort according to that. A concrete example, we had some tough time with one part of our customers with various kind of products who diverted in a very unfair manner a lot of efforts there, whether it's CSM agents, support agents, R&D efforts, and that got healed, and the customers felt better, and there were big chunks of our revenue, and we dropped the hell out of the small customers, and they were upset, and some of them actually churned. But when you look at the overall picture, that was worthwhile. There's a saying, one ring to rule them all. Well, it's not one ring.
So they churned because they were deprioritized? Or?
Yeah, and it was a business decision by us to make sure we prioritize a bigger business with a bigger revenue and make sure they're super happy. And then when they renewed and upselled 10 times as much, it was a very smart decision to make. So yes, I think what you said makes sense, perfect sense in it.
And how do you, Shai, Tal, how do you handle the deprioritization within the team? So again, as I said before, there is a team. There's as Nathan said, they have teams that are working on different products. Now there's one team that they don't get the budgets, they don't get resources. I can tell from my own experience. Then now there's no R&D resources to support that product because it's going to be end of life. But then you still need to support it. You still need to work with the customers. Hard.
Yeah, so I think that prioritization is a delicate game. I mean, it's not, there is not always the best or ideal answer. It's important to understand the trade-off and the impact, I mean, of doing something or not doing something else, and what are options for mitigation. I had experienced a situation where the company decided, based on its strategy, not to invest resources in a certain use case or product. But because the customer was strategic, had an impact on a live RFP with a different company, and it really impacted their main success criteria and their main goals, we did come up with a plan, more long-term, to implement their top things. So we can't do everything, but I think that really listening to the customer, asking the right question to understand what they're really looking for. I mean, customer can say, I need this feature, but sometimes they need something else. So this was one case, and a different case was a decision not to do something. That's also a decision and a fair decision. It's important to communicate it right, to set the right expectations with the customer, but it's a fair decision. And I think that looking at the KPIs and looking at the strategy of the company, it's okay to make those tough decisions by understanding what's the trade-off.
Okay.
Yeah, I think like, whenever you're moving into new products and your core products, you invest less with R&D efforts, like CSMs are asking questions like why you're not investing in that client wants the other things, and for me it's important to convey management decisions and why the decision was taken to invest in new products rather than existing product. For example, if our retention rate is good and we are not seeing like too many clients churning from the core products that we have, it makes more sense to invest in this particular new products rather than to continue and invest money in a product that clients already like. So it makes sense, and we are trying to convey this message and to make sure the news will be spread through the team leads, directors, into to the CSMs themselves, that they will understand what was behind the decision that was taken over here and why we're saying no to feature requests or requests that are coming from clients. So, and that helps, because eventually they understand, it relates to the business, they like it, and that works.
So a tough question that just came up. So do you share those decisions also with the customers? So is this something that you come to the customer, say, we decided to invest this and this because, you know, and maybe that can or expedite churn or reduce churn. Is this something that typically happens?
No, for me.
Okay.
we won't share that with the client. We are CSMs, account managers. They are smart. They would say it in a different way. So I'm not expecting them to share that with the clients. But eventually, like you know, they understand why we are doing that internally. Externally, it's something that we won't share.
So there's a lot of pros and cons to how to structure the team. So we talked a lot about you know, how to handle new products and working with you know, in different teams. But essentially, and then that's something that again I'm in debating in the company that I work for is, you know, what's the account team look like? So do we have SMEs, subject matter experts, across the different domains, across the different, I think earlier today they talked about the importance of having a domain expertise. So if I have different products in different domain or different industries, as Nathan mentioned in Kaltura, then do I need to bring different people? And then how do I combine that within the customer side, which is basically one logo, but maybe different teams? So I guess the pros and cons, and what's interesting to me to hear from you is kind of what's your preference to do I have a one CSM that orchestrate everything and maybe they have different domain experts, or maybe there's only domain experts and there's like dedicated team to different areas, and how do you eventually combine it into a one customer? Because again, one customer can have one product that he's very happy with and another product that they don't like? What's the impact? So, any one of you?
The way we structure this, and I'll say something at the end of my things about another angle that was not looked upon. Structure it by industries. That works for us because of various industries. And within those industries, another differentiator is the size of the customer.
Mm-hmm.
So this is like a metric of the size of the customer and the industries, and then you fit up the team members inside. Another way to look at structuring the team, one might say it's an HR issue. It's not an HR issue. It's about leadership, and it's about accountability and responsibility. The same way that our customers are taking a look inside, so do our team members are different. And sometimes a person at a certain point in his life, in a certain age, certain physical condition, he wants to go out and conquer the world, and he wants to, to lead the top product and go ahead and win. But his next door neighbor in the office, well, his mother is sick, or he's up to his school, and he's fine. He's perfectly fine with doing not the state-of-the-art product as of now. So I think making management an art is also looking both inside and outside and doing that metric to set it up. Another thing I think we should be discussed cleverly is sometimes it's not very comfortable to talk about is compensation. If you structure your compensation right and you make sure that the business strategy of the business are aligned with the specific comp plan of your team members, I think that suits you very well. Sometimes you want to get new product and new upsell. Sometimes you want new logos. Sometimes you just want to keep the customers. Don't make them churn. So have various plans.
Yeah. Good point.
I want to add that, first of all, I completely agree. It depends on the company. Customer segmentation into sizes is critical in how you structure the team. But I kind of want to add my take into that. I do see a great importance with having a holistic view on customers, especially the enterprise one that have multiple product lines. So there has to be some constellation, right? I don't like to call it a CSM or account management. I like to call it names, but there has to be someone that oversees strategic accounts, our biggest account holistically. From my experience, customers expect that. In some way, shape, or form, customer organizations need to address that need.
So I intervene here because on one hand it does make sense, right? So yeah, I have someone that overlooks this account, but I think the challenge that I face oftentimes is that I have someone that overlooks the entire customer organization, the different departments, the different teams that work with my product or products, but then I don't have my counterpart on the customer side that have the same. So how do you encounter how do you push the customer to have someone with that interest as well? Because that would definitely help to make that orchestration work, right?
Yeah. I think that's another argument to why you need someone in the customer success organization to oversee the account, right? Because it could be that both internally, right? In our organization, it could be different product managers for different product lines, and then also the customer side, it could be multiple focal points. I think someone that leads an account, and again, not every account, right? But someone that leads the account holistically can really contribute to kind of connecting all the dots. And he needs to rely on a very good support system that, again, not naming names, but having a strong customer care, professional services, technical teams, service delivery people that
escalations
that are his SMEs or experts per product.
If I can chime in, so actually that's the reason we called this functionality an account manager and not like customer success manager, because it's accountability, like, and especially with enterprise clients, as you said, like being accountable for everything, overseeing everything that happens in the account is super important. I think like my challenge is that because we built like additional teams within the department, like technical account managers, delivery managers, how much can I expand more to other teams? It's becoming a challenge, it's becoming a problem. because the client will now start to speak with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more people. It's a challenge. So I'm kind of like, this is kind of like a debate that I have with myself. Where do I stop? Okay, where do I stop putting like additional SMEs, additional people while speaking with the clients? And there's a reason that for me, like the account manager is the one that eventually should know what's happening with the line of products that we have. We don't have dozens, so we are not in this situation. We have, I would say, up to 10. Okay, so we can deal with that, but his accountability is super important, and the smart ones knows how to place with, passing responsibilities into the relevant teams.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the account manager or the customer success manager should have this holistic view. For that, in order to have the right synergy with the SMEs, there should be some kind of overlap in terms of knowledge. So learning all the time is important. I'm coming mainly from startups, small companies, so I don't always have the privilege to build a lot of expertise in like specific persona for a specific industry or specific product inside the team. So you can use the knowledge outside the teams and learn how to play with that. And sometimes maybe you have the right structure, but you kind of like need the structure to be right on the customer side as well. And something I learned is right from the onboarding, maybe map the type of potential stakeholders that can be on the customer side and kind of like give them some best practices on that area. That really helped me along the way to manage things correctly, all the type of communications and meetings and so on.
Let me give you a very concrete example. 2 examples. One, but accountability is the key. One is very small customers, extremely small. Each one of them has one CSM, and one CSM can lead and own about 50 to 60 customers with one CSM. On the other side, we have huge customers that although they have one account manager, and as you said, he's the owner, they also have focal points in the support organization, in the PS. So that big customer, for example, in our case, Vodafone, which is a huge customer, with huge teams, so they know that this person is holding their account. But they know by name and by their private cell phones the PS leader and the support leader and the tech leader, and it works as long as you have one accountable, which is the account manager.
Cool. So I think we've got great answers, although I guess it's still a challenge. And again, from my experience, as Ishai said, about 20 years, then that's an existing challenge that keeps on going with new products and new companies. And when the company grows or decrease, whatever, then you need to adjust. We do have time for a few questions from the audience. I can't really see, so if anyone has questions to one of the panelists or to myself, you're more than welcome to raise your hand. Rosie? So I'll repeat the question. So Rosie is asking the panel, how do you build your customer health when you have multiple products in an objective way to look
Okay.
well,
I'll start by saying that ideally, so I always like to talk about what I strive for while I acknowledge, where I'm at. So ideally, you would have every metric per product, right? It's per product line, ideally. Think about it, not only customer health, but other things. Realistically, my experience was that, specifically with customer health, I always measured it per client. I've never achieved that level of granularity, maybe Nathan has, in terms of really health per product. And some things are missed, right? I get what you're asking, because some level of detail is being missed. But I think overall, in companies that I worked for, the retention and of the client as a whole was more important than what happened inside between product line, and that was my guidance. So that's my experience. Maybe Nathan has something else to add.
It's a tough cookie.
Yeah.
I know.
yeah.
Circling back, I don't think it's about the product, I think it's about the customer. So it can be great service and a great product, but a crappy pricing, and you'll churn. So what we do, and you're more than welcome to reach out to Gilat or Adi here and to review it yourself. We try to have defined concrete KPIs and metrics that indicate the customer's health, whether it's the usage of the product, whether it's the number of tickets they've opened, are they paying on time, regardless, from all aspects, not only the product-wise, and put it in one place and make sure that you get as holistic as you can regarding the customer. And once again, big differentiator between the small ones and the big ones, what I said it before.
And I think it also goes back to the strategy of the company of what's more important, right? So is the logo more important, or it's a product that is more important? And then if someone leaves the product and yeah, they are on the legacy product, which is less important, then maybe it's more. So I think, again, it's a very challenging question. Thank you for that. But, but clearly, I think there's a lot of aspect to it, and creating the base and the resources to get that health will give different, I guess, different aspect. Any other?
You said it yourself. Complaints should not look the same for everyone, because various people need various things, especially when they deal with various customers. It is delicate. Sometimes it's not as easy to discuss. Something it's not the easiest conversations, but if you fine-tune the employee's needs, what he's expecting, and people expect various things in various stages of their lives. And sometimes you want to make as much money as you can, sometimes you want to be as secure as you can. And when you look at if you align this with the business strategy, it's a complex thing to do, but it takes its time. But if you define it well, you've done a lot of the work. By the way, that's the easy part. The toughest part and the important part is not the comp plan. It's choosing the right people. But that's a different panel. Yeah.
Yes, you? So the question is, how do you, so if a product is bundled, so how do you get the customer to use certain elements of it? And that's, so essentially, again, I can tell from our experience what our CSM in Dynatrace do. They basically build a success plan with the customer and work with them, again, based on priorities and based on what they need and what they're paying and what is their goals with that, I guess, platform already, and build a success plan to gradually roll out the different aspects of the product and then measure it by the usage. And you can
I will say that we'll prioritize based on the stickiness and the dependency it can create. So if we believe that for a certain product, the dependency of the clients will be higher, and then when we'll get to the renewal, it will be hard for him to leave because he's using heavily the product. That will be, I think, like key to when we will decide on what to invest.
So the question is actually we'll be happy to answer, although I don't think it's for this forum or this topic, but the question is, how do you get the end user? So I have a B2B customer, right? And there is someone that is using my product from the end customer. So in fintech, it's easy to explain. So the bank is my customer, right? And correct me if I'm wrong. The bank is my customer, but then there's the end user that actually uses the solution, and how that feedback goes. Then I can tell you from my experience that feedback goes from my champion, from my customer. I'm sure that it's probably the same. And if I'm a good customer success manager, I need to leverage that feedback and take it back to the product management and prioritize it. And again, I guess you can, as per different other sessions that were today about the loop between product and customers, or product and customer success, then essentially you need to take that feedback, analyze it, and understand if this is a one user that he likes the button to be green or red, and if there are other customers or other end users that are the same, I guess. So with that, we end up our panel. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you for the conference organizers, and Sorot Tovot.